I'm Stephanie Garbacic from Wayne County Cooperative Extension. I'm going to talk to you today about getting started with some baby chicks. It's that time of year where you're going to see them in all the farm supply stores. You can order them online. Make sure it's a trusted hatchery just to be sure no diseases are going to come through those chicks to your place. We've got a couple here today I'll show you, and I'll talk to you about some feed, water, and really the housing. Those are the three main things you're going to have to worry about with chicks. So we've got some chicks here today. They're a couple weeks old, so they are able to be outside. They are in an enclosed coop off by themselves, separated from adult chickens. You want to keep them separate. If you look here, they've started a little bit of feathering. So these are a couple weeks old, probably 5 to 6, maybe 7 weeks old when you start seeing that feathering. And that feathering is important because it helps them regulate their body temperature. So once you see a bunch of that, you can start putting them outside. These chicks, water, feed, and housing are the most important thing, just like any other animal. So your water can be pretty simple. You just want to get a container and a shallow enough edge that they can dip their beak in and drink the water, but they're not going to fall in and drown. It does happen if you had a really deep bowl, maybe a dog bowl type size. They would fall in and they would probably drown. So you just want a real shallow waterer, and they can get to it real easy. Clean this a couple times a day whenever you see it's dirty, because these chicks are going to poop wherever they are. They don't care if they're standing near the feed or the waterer. They're just going to do their business. So keeping it clean is the most important thing with your water. The next thing we're going to talk about is your feed. So these are still young chicks. They would want to be on a chick starter or grower feed. The most important thing to look at is your protein levels. These are really young animals, so they need a high protein level. 18 to 20% is what we're looking for. The one I've got here has 20% crude protein. So this is good up until about 7 weeks old. After that, you're going to want to transition them to a developer type feed. That's going to have more about a 15% protein, and then once they're old enough to start laying at 5 to 7 months old, you're going to up that protein a little bit more to about 18%, because they will be laying, they'll need extra protein. So like I said before, these chicks have a little bit of feathering, but they have a whole bunch of down still. So when you get your chicks from the feed store or from a local hatchery, they're just going to be probably a couple days old, maybe 2 or 3 days old, and they'll have just this down on them. Now this down doesn't keep them warm, it doesn't keep them cool, it's just kind of there, it's just kind of fluff. So housing is really important for your chicks, and keeping them warm is key. When you first get them, you're going to want to keep the temperature about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and then each week you're going to decrease it about 5 degrees. Your chicks are going to tell you if they're too warm or too cold. If they're huddled close together all under that heat lamp like I've got here, they're going to probably be pretty cold, and you may have to check that temperature or up the temperature. If they're as far away from that heat lamp as they can get, they're probably pretty hot. Or if you see them panting because they can't sweat, they're probably really hot. So you may want to decrease that lamp or move it further away towards that brooder box. So just keep an eye on your chicks and figure out what's going on with them. It'll help you figure out if your temperature is right for them. The last thing is where you're going to keep them. When they're young like that, you've got to keep them inside. You've got to use that heat lamp to regulate the temperature. And you're going to want some sort of box, a Rubbermaid container, plastic container, anything that you can just keep them in that they're not going to jump out of. So high enough they can't jump out. And you want some pine shavings in the bottom, probably 2 to 4 inches deep. Just so they're not on a slick surface, because if they're walking around on a slick surface the whole time, you can have some leg problems. So you want as good a footing as possible in that brooder box. So those are just the basics of getting started with chicks. If you have any questions, feel free to call the office or email me. The number is 919-731-1525.